us this morning. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me know that love is all around me.
Let me know that love is all around.
Oh, let me know that love is all around.
Let me know that love is all around.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me learn from all the ways I fall.
Let me learn from all the ways I fall.
Oh, let me know that love can heal us all.
Let me know that love can heal us all.
Oh, let me know that love can heal us all.
Let me know that love can heal us all.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Here's a fun one. We're begging you to join in with us yet again. Get this church a rockin'. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say, I recognize the God in you.
I recognize the God in you.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
Now lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and repeat
We
after
come
me.
together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together in the name of love.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
Come together in the name of love.
All right. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to
Say,
you.
God loves you and I love you too.
God
Lovely to have you all with us here this morning. Is that Terry? Oh my gosh. Terry, you came all the way from Australia to see me? Hi, Maureen's right here. Wow. So, everybody say hello to Terry. Longtime member. When I took over here at our Center for Spiritual Living, her and her husband moved to Australia, but I'm not holding that against her. All right, so let's all take a deep, conscious breath together. We'll take another one after I introduce our assistant minister, Reverend Nancy Wood. So let's welcome her first. Yeah. There we go. All right. So let's reset. Taking a deep breath. Release. Just allowing ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Reverend Nancy lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as Reverend Nancy, we got to light a 10th one, right? As we light the 10th candle, we light the 10th candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center. And as Reverend Nancy lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
So in this atmosphere of love, we let that fear fall away. Because in this room, there's enough love to heal the world. So let's bathe in it. Bathe in the recognition that the infinite intelligence, that which has brought life forth in and through all of us, is fully present. It's still present in our thoughts, our feelings, in every aspect of our being. And this all-knowing, all-powerful energy that is flowing into expression in and through each and every one of us. It's guiding us to open our hearts and our minds to receive that which has been given, whether it's through the music, through a greeting, through a word that is shared. Whatever way it comes, we are welcoming the divine presence. Expanded awareness. Because we know that this infinite awareness is forever being new. So it's with a joyous, open, and welcoming heart, we allow ourselves to relax, to open up, to welcome. Our greater good. And so it's with this consciousness and this open and receptive atmosphere that we surround ourselves with. We welcome an opportunity to allow ourselves to consciously experience the law of the universe as it says yes to the words that we place in it. And know that this is a divine event because we recognize the power of our word. And we unite in accepting the truth of this as we say together, and so it is. Good morning. I wanted to share a little bit. I went on a silent retreat. For a person that likes to talk, that's an effort sometimes. So I went on a 3-day retreat with Dr. Beckwith and his group. I found a lot of people from all over the country were at that group too. So 100 and so people together meditating, hour after hour, and then him sharing his understanding. It turned out to be a fabulous experience. I don't know, that environment where these, in the desert, and you look around and somebody has somehow planted every different tree that you could possibly think of. It's fabulous. I love trees, so it was just a joy just to walk around and look at the different trees. But it was such an enriched experience for me because I think that we hear these principles and we hear the teaching and it goes on and we try practicing it. And we hear that principle again and we practice it a little more. So it's rich when you have a view that seems like it's just somehow open your mind up. There was this point where I was listening and I got it when he was saying, as we are meditating, what we're doing is being still and allowing this divine presence of who and what we are to have its way so that what comes forth, it can come forth without the hindrance that our human self has brought into our consciousness. We have a lot of human thoughts and understandings that we have gathered from our society and our environment. And they sometimes interfere with this divine presence as it lays before us, our good. And it's constantly doing it. And meditation has taken on a different thing for me now. I can be still a little bit more and be quiet and be willing to let the spirit within have its way with my consciousness. That divine presence is always creating newness and creating the good that I'm seeking. And allowing myself to receive it is the gift that I get from meditating and being still. And I told Reverend Mike, I have a new appreciation for his midweek meditation night, because it was a reminder for us to gather together, to quieten our minds, and let us receive the gift of awareness that is waiting to come into expression. It's coming through. We just have a lot of blocks put all around it. And most of the spiritual teachings that we are exposed to tell us this. But sometimes it takes a while to hear it. And thank you for letting me share that.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Please welcome David Olivas and Mr. Kent Moore. I am thrilled that we have our singers here. You know, every Sunday they donate their time and they come here and put up with me saying a few things in the morning. So I want to thank Miss Angela Carroll Brown. Yeah. Miss Kitty Holiday. Mr. Jerry Radke. Hi, Jerry. And today we are very lucky to have a wonderful performer and singer. Please welcome Miss Terry Page.
Many pray along the way. They don't stop to wonder what the world is coming to. They let something higher reveal the way to a greater love. So the truth keeps telling me, sing of liberation for the ones who are not free. Look and take us higher. Reveal the way to a greater love. Wash over us, take us higher, make us kinder. Early in the morning, hold us together, now and forever. Still some cry along the way, walking through the sadness, for a world that needs to know. Take us higher. Reveal the way to a greater love. to a greater love. We let it wash over us. We let it lift us higher. We let it make us kinder. We let it. Oh, we let it early in the morning. We let it hold us together. We let it now and forever. We let the love wash over and over and over. We let it. Oh, we let it. We let it. Let it be. Yeah. We let the peace of joy wash over and over and over and over. We let it be. We let the peace over and over and over and
That feels good. Thank you. Aren't our singers wonderful? Aren't our musicians just fabulous? Oh, I'm supposed to be doing an announcement. There is a practitioner meeting at 12:30 today. Kirtan is this Wednesday at 7 p.m., so join us for a very nice time from 7 to 8 to quieten your mind and to receive. And at 6 p.m. on the same day, we have Vision with Reverend Mike. So if you want a vision for our center, you can join us for that. And starting this Thursday, Andrea and I are teaching a class from Emmy Curtis Hopkins. She's the teacher of teachers. And she takes the same principles and explains them, and I understand why the people that went to her became teachers, because she helps you open your mind. So join us as we, as a group, discuss her thinking and her understanding. And it's always a wonderful experience.
So I just wanted to take a moment before, because I'd rather do it now than during my talk. Yeah. So, we just had this spring fling deal.
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to go through some thank yous, so we're not doing it during the message. So I want to thank, and I want you to raise your hand, I want to thank all of those who supported our center by donating cash or events to support the event. So please raise your hand so you can be acknowledged. Yes. Thank you for that. I want to thank all of those who supported our center by attending the event. Raise your hand. Yes, thank you. Yes, and then we need to thank all of those who volunteered in any way to develop, plan, decorate, auction prep, and some of you, I'm muted again, like that matters, some of you did not attend the event, but contributed your time anyway and supported it that way. So if you're one of those, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. And let's see. And then I want to give a special shout out for people who stepped up to head committees, right? So, and help me if I forgot anybody. So first of all, Bonnie for decorating and her crew. Yes. Vinu for the auction, which is a gigantic job. I saw, oh, there you are. Hi, Vinu. Margie was wrangling the 50-50. I don't know if you were in charge or you just got that. and was also the co-chair of the auction. So let's give Margie a nice big. And then, of course, Stan Marcy. Marcy was the, yes, thank you, Marcy. She was the Admiral Extraordinaire of the Star Wars May the 4th Be With You on the 3rd Fleet of Fun. So let's give everybody a big hand for that. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And if you're new to our church, welcome. We always happy to see a new face. The door is always open. And turn to your neighbor and just say hi. Hi. And thank you all for coming. So now would you stand and say the Declaration of Principles with me? We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my mind is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my soul is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my mind is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my soul is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my mind is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening, my soul is ready to receive.
Feel the force. So as you can see here is Darth Vader, and then Mini-Me is right there. And then we had an actual Jedi warrior who was there, the young apprentice. Yeah, It was a fun night. Isn't Alex cute? Yeah. All right. And let's see. Do I forward it this way? Yes, I do. So our talk title today is Compassion, and it is Cinco de Mayo, so we don't want to forget that. But just to bring our Anglo friends up to speed, so Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. It's not like our 4th of July at all. But it is an opportunity to celebrate things Mexican and the unique relationship that the U.S. has with its southern border, which is timely, given that today's talk title is Compassion, I think. And it's actually, about the French. It was about the Mexicans were outnumbered. The French, this is Napoleon, American Civil War is going on. And of course, when the Civil War was over, Napoleon jumped out the bedroom window before anything could happen. Serious, and so they got their country back. All right. So it's a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful time to honor our Mexican friends, and in particular, our Mexican friends who live right here with us and have been here since the 1500s, I think. Yeah. So who was here first? I wonder what the answer to that question is. So and yes, so today, let's see, Friday was May the 3rd. Today is Cinco de Mayo, which means the 5th of May, in case you didn't know. And, of course, yesterday was May the 4th, which, of course, has been memed up to mean May the 4th be with you, and also with you. And it's and so there's this commemoration, people remember Star Wars, right? So because of the old tagline, what? May the Force be with you. Good, I'm glad you saw the movie, so I don't have to explain it too much. So this is where we got the theme for our spring fling. Because we couldn't get the 4th, it was too expensive. So may the 4th be with you on the 3rd, and that's the last time you have to hear that. So, there's a story, so there's a connection to all of this, and I'm going to connect it right now. So there's a story told by the late Dr. David Walker of the Los Angeles Church of Religious Science about having met George Lucas for a short little meeting in person and having this conversation with him because Dr. Walker had seen, probably on television, I imagine, an interview with Lucas in his office. And so right over Lucas's office in his bookcase was a copy of The Science of Mind, the book The Science of Mind and Spirit. And so Dr. Walker had always wanted to ask him this question. He said, so have you read The Science of Mind, and did that influence your Star Wars movie? And he said, absolutely. That's where he got the whole idea of the Force. Now he put his own spin on it, right? But that's where the idea of the Force came from, which I thought was dynamite when I heard that story. And that, of course, also, if you know anything about Joseph Campbell, the Star Wars story is all about the hero's journey. I mean, almost step by step by step by step. In fact, it's used to teach the hero's journey now. And they were tight, Lucas and Campbell. So, now hearing this story for me was significant because I remember when this movie came out. Okay, so when, I know that some of you weren't born yet. However, at the time, I was living in a small town in Washington State. I don't even think we had a street light. We had one theater. It showed one movie for the whole week in the 1970s, right? So this isn't like the last picture show. This is like in the 1970s. And whenever the movie came out, and I hadn't heard anything about it because, this is before the internet and all that. So the movie poster, I thought it was a cartoon. I thought I was going to go see a cartoon. And I went and I saw this movie, and I was so knocked out by it. Right? I was so knocked out by it because not only, I was kind of a space guy, anything like an old Trekkie kind of guy anyway. But when Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I'm giving tribute to today with my whiskers, when Obi-Wan Kenobi explained what the Force was, I was mesmerized, and I remember thinking, I wish there was a religion like this. I would go to that church. And for the rest of the world, though, I think this was a fictional fantasy. But for as long as I could remember, I had always had, within my heart, I had always had a sense of some deeper something, that I always felt like we were connected. My high school biology class was about ESP and doing experiments on ESP, because I was just convinced that we were connected in some kind of mystic way that I really didn't know how to put language to yet. So years later, when I was going through a really dark time in my life, I was told that I could pray to a God of my own understanding, which was a huge light bulb for me, by the way. You can do that? Right? Bless you. Pray to a God of my own understanding versus the one that I was taught about. Right? And for years, even as I continued to practice the faith of my ancestors, I would pray to God as I understood it. Right? Because I was starting to put together, well, look, God must be both masculine and feminine. I mean, it's like, wow, that'll make your brain hurt if you think about that one. Like when you're 20 and still using enhancements and eating granola. So I continued, and Ram Dass suddenly took on such more meaning. So I continued this practice. I continued this practice until I found the Science of Mind teaching, which was also kind of a dark time. So I have not learned the ways of the Force. I have not learned Jedi mind tricks. But I will try. This is the church you've been looking to give to. You're laughing. Right? And I don't have a cool lightsaber, but I always wanted one because, when you're cutting rafters up in the house, in the building, and they don't quite fit, I always wanted a lightsaber because if it was too long, that saw was way down there, you were way up by the ridge, and you're like, if you had a lightsaber, you could just and just shave it off and nail it. And on to the next one. Yes. So I can't do any of that, but I'll tell you what I am aware of. I am aware of what Ernest Holmes calls a field of mind. A field of mind. The mind of the Spirit itself that I am thinking with and also thinking into. That this mind is interdimensional and is expressed in the world through the power of thought. My own thought individually, and together we are all thinking into it and demonstrating this world together. This is what we call race consciousness. So it is by thought agreement that we have the world the way that it is. So is it God's fault? No. And we also have to recognize that this world that we're seeing demonstrating out there is actually far more peaceful than in any other time in human history. Because consciousness being refined and refined and refined and stepping away, that man is sinful by nature, instead embracing the idea that man is compassionate and love at his nature, that there is in fact an expression of the divine as each aspect of creation, including you and me, all beings. And that we are thinking beings. We have consciousness. We not only think, but we think about thinking. This makes us uniquely different. But up until now, we have thought that we're just thinking biologically. with the brain. Right? What we are doing is we are accessing a field of mind. Individualized as each person, yes. 7 billion brains, one mind. And I would even say 7 billion hearts, one heart. Expressing. So my own thought, our thought together on this plane, and even the cosmic thought, expressing as the universe, everywhere, simultaneously, at the same time, in all places, resonating on some level with itself. Right? That on a subatomic level, we're all doing this. Let me get my way back over here. Even this thing, even solid matter is doing that. This is not fictional fantasy, this is reality. Now, it's not that people hadn't already postulated that before. Right? But we get stuck in the rational mind. So this power, this presence, this field of mind demonstrates itself all the time. Sometimes for good, sometimes for less than good, depending on the tendency of my own thought as an individual and the tendency of our thought together. So, that's the work. If you're a religious scientist, the work is looking at the tendency of our own thought and seeing if the life that we want to live, the life that our heart is calling us to be, is there evidence of that demonstrating in my life? Without judgment, by the way, because frankly, there's enough obstacles in the way that we don't know about. We don't need to create new ones, which is what judgment is. So we bring the tool, and it is a tool, we bring the tool of awareness to our thought and consciously work to shift and lift the tendency of my own thought to the good. And with practice and then deep courage, I can bring this awareness to others. Now I can share it and claim for you on your behalf your greatest good. That's what a spiritual mind treatment is. Now, how can I do that? Because whatever's keeping you stymied is your stuff. I don't believe in any of that. Right? I have my own stuff. And then ironically, you know the truth for me. Oh, but you're a minister. Yeah. That just means I have a license to drive. Right? We are all practitioners. If you are a parent, you are a practitioner for your children. You're knowing the truth for them. That's why they're so wonderful. Except when they're at home and cranky. Right? Until they get to be 13 or... Right? And then 22, they come to themselves and you're the most wonderful person in the world. So, this is not a Hollywood movie. This is real life. Now, here's the other thing about the Star Wars story. It's also a story of redemption. That the most evil man in the universe, Darth Vader, that in time we learned was a servant to something even darker than himself. Even darker than himself. Here, you can look at that for a while. And that he was literally chained and anchored and brought in bridled resentment, in seething anger and hate. And yet, it is the compassion of Luke, right? From this know-nothing place, from this far-strung planet. It's like he's from Mojave or something. That the compassion of Luke for Darth Vader that is the impetus that activates the seed of reconciliation within the dark heart of Darth Vader himself, so that allows him to finally, at the hour of his death, to reclaim his authentic self. So then the question is, why did you wait so long, Darth? Right? He had the solution the whole time and turned away from it. And is that not what we do within our own spiritual practice? Right? So for people in recovery, for whom that works, there's 12 steps. Right? There's meetings. But why go there? Right? Why do that? There's spiritual mind treatment. I can know a different reality for my life and call that forth and speak it with authority. And yet we don't. I don't think it's any nefarious thing like the dark side of the force pulling us, right? It's something else. Maybe complacency, maybe familiarity. How many of us are willing to go chase the shiny new object? Right? So Betsy's written a great book, right? Tipping Sacred Cows, right? We go looking for the next shiny thing because this isn't it. Right? So part of it's a human condition. But we are the point of power in our own life. That part of our divine right is the authority to live it as we see fit. Right? That's what all this justice stuff is based on. So, Luke's ability to exercise compassion, of course, came after his own struggles within himself. First, within the cave that was strong with the dark side, if you remember the story, where he entered the cave, and then who shows up? Darth Vader with his lightsaber, and they have a battle, and then what happens? Right? He loses, and then what happens? Luke sees his face as the face of Darth Vader. I don't know, that was pretty creepy. The first time I saw it. And confusing. Right? Only to find that he is battling with himself. Wonderful metaphors in this. And then he spent time learning with Master Yoda. Right? So Master Yoda, the Zen Sunni master mystic who teaches that you got to be all in with the Force. You can't play nickel, dime, quarter. You got to be all in with the Force. Because if you do, you don't demonstrate. Remember he had the flyer, the thing, and we see Luke, and there's like lifting all these objects, and he's got one leg up, and then the X-Fighter starts to raise, and then he runs out of mojo. I don't know what happened, but he didn't get her. Well, I think what happened was, and think about this as a metaphor for our own life. We see our life starting to demonstrate, and then we say what? Oh my God, I can't believe it. Right? Which is what happened to him, and what happens? Boom, boom, out go the lights. And then he goes, oh, it can never happen. And then Yoda, of course, does his Yoda thing. Well, he did. All right. So there is no try, only do. And finally, to learn that Vader is not only his father. He finds this out. Shocking. It's like everyone in the theater went, no! Yes! Right? But until he confronts his father, he will not be a true Jedi. So there's a lot of stuff he can do in the world. There's a lot of good stuff he can do. But until he confronts the man in the cave, he cannot be a true Jedi. And it was the love of his father, Luke. It was the love of his father, his ability to continue to see the good in him, to see the love instead of the hate, That was what completed his training as a Jedi. So that compassion and love then are not just a Hollywood ending. These are the keys to using the living intelligence of the Spirit to shift and lift our own lives, to break the shackles of resentment and fear that keep us held bound, keep us locked into playing small, keep us locked into playing safe, because we are our greatest when we are daring greatly, as Brene Brown and Teddy Roosevelt before her says. That we can step away. That we can step away from the stony heart, gentlemen. We don't have to soldier through it all the time. We don't have to have the answers all the time. We don't have to do it for anybody. We can say, I don't know. Free of judgment. Free of looking weak. That's our greatest fear. We don't want to be weak. Am I right? Yeah. Well, the women, you weren't supposed to answer to that. This is our moment. Right, guys? All right, good. Harumph. I'm not answering. I don't want to be part of that gang. All right, to step up and to stop saying it's not working, to stop pretending, to step up and to ask for that raise, to have the difficult conversations, to make way for that new person. Whether it's down at the border, let's get over ourselves, right? With boundaries. I'm not saying we don't have boundaries, but we can be light and polite. You can learn that in Al-Anon if you don't know how to do that. Or our new friends here in our spiritual community, where we often hang out with the people that we know, when we really want to be embracing the folks who are new here. Particularly if you're one of those. Now, I realize I'm a minister, but you can talk to Dr. Maureen. Even before I was a minister, I was excited about the teaching and wanted to share it with other people because it changed my life. And changed a lot of my language, too. No more F-bombs is what that means. Yeah. So here's some 3 lessons and we're going to jump off here. So 3 lessons for compassion: to lead with your heart. Don't overthink things. What happens when we're overthinking? Are we in our heart or our head? Right. We don't have to analyze and certainly not judge everything. We can discern, practice discernment, right? So that's stepping back. We're not tied, we're not attached to things, right? We can root ourselves in responsibility and connection, that we must all answer for our mistakes, to be accountable for our lives and to face the consequences and not to be afraid of it. That every moment in life then becomes a teaching moment. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't times where it's incredibly embarrassing, right? The thing is if we're daring greatly, which is really what this teaching is calling us to do, is to dare greatly, right? We are going to experience epic failure. We're going to. Right? But we are playing with infinite power, infinite intelligence, that we can reset and have a new thought. We're not bound by precedent because the Spirit is not bound by precedent. In this human existence, yes, it seems like we're circling around to the same old thing. Oh, here we go again. But that's can be reset in an instant with an insight. Again, from 12-step, right? Talks about having a psychic change. Instantaneously, we have an insight and our life is different. And you don't have to be, I just shared that with you, so you don't have to be a nasty alcoholic to find that out now. And then finally, we turn on the empathy. Right? So when we fall into judgment for another, we can just pause, take a breath. We can reset it. Imagine ourselves in their shoes. Imagine their fear. Imagine their embarrassment. So compassion does not excuse bad behavior. It simply moves us closer to our higher self, highest self, in places where goodness and learning can come from struggle or difficulties. So, and this is for our friends this morning. I found this image. This is for you guys. All right, so the Dalai Lama, who is not Japanese, by the way, says this, that it's not simply to think that compassion is important. In the Buddhist tradition, compassion and love are seen as two aspects of the same thing. That compassion is the wish for another being to be free from suffering, and love is wanting them to have more happiness. And I would also say, compassion can be, it's so important that compassion is just the start. So I used the example earlier that we can have compassion, right? In the 60s, we could have compassion for the struggle of African Americans to get the vote in the South, right? And then we see the images of the police dogs attacking people, and then we have compassion because we see this horrible injustice. But that was not enough. That's not enough. They needed help, right? They needed help from their brothers and sisters of all races to step up and say, no more of this nonsense. Right? And we've done it now for our brothers and sisters of the LGBTQ community. And there'll probably be something else that pops up, and we'll be called to do that again. And it's not enough to just acknowledge it. We have to then take action. Right? And you'll figure that part out. And maybe we'll figure out some of it together in ways that are appropriate for spiritual community. So let's call the musicians up. So feel the force, man. Can you feel it? Take a deep breath. And let's just take some time today to connect in the deepest ways possible to that within us that is bound by nothing. That sense of the divine within, that divine spark, that intuition, that open heart, that courageous aspect of ours that is not afraid to be vulnerable, to say, I love you first. To say, I was wrong. I could have done that better. You know the ways you need to step up. So think of those today. And then I'm going to leave you with these words from Ernest Holmes. So then he says, let's then meditate daily on this thought. My desire is that everyone I meet will feel the warmth and color of my affection. Right? So there's some courage. My brothers and sisters feel the warmth and color of my affection. My purpose is that a feeling of goodwill shall pass from me, from us, to others. That today I embrace the world in this affection, and that means everyone who's in it, and desire so that good shall come to everyone. Let's practice that today. Take that into our work week, and then come back next week and we'll honor our mothers together.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer. I'm not the only one. I hope one day you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Namaste.
Little flashback for you. That was Dennis Merritt Jones' signature song over in Simi Valley. All right, so as we take a moment to prepare the offering, we'll call our ushers forward.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us.
All right, let's take a deep breath for David. and just release. Sorry, I just, it's here, it's there, what can I say? All right, so let's just take a moment to acknowledge the gifts that here in the basket this morning, whether through automated giving or even for our friends online who may be joining us in this giving moment. And just recognize and know that all of it is a demonstration of consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. And so from the generous heart of the individual, evidenced by these gifts here this morning, we, representing the heart of this spiritual community, accept these gifts with deep love and respect as we know together they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless the lives of everyone here this morning, the lives of anyone connected to our center in any way, that we extend these glad tidings to our friends here in our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, that we know for our planet as well, that all of it is an emanation from the very mind of the Spirit itself, and that we are co-creating with it to call forth a world of love, of peace, of understanding with all peoples, starting with ourselves. And that's a good thing. So we just release it now, let it be so. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So please help me thank Miss Christy Guyman and Miss Chloe Houghton. And we have some kids. We'll just take a moment longer to check in with them. Oh, I got that chair in your way, though, our boss. All right. Nice McConaughey. So tell them who you are.
I learned about compassion, and I learned about people, and I learned about positive things, and I learned about something about compassion, and I learned about positive things, and compassion means with kindness.
Good job, buddy. Nice job, Andreas. I don't know if you actually have to learn that. You're a pretty chill dude. You're a pretty kind-hearted guy, I'd say. All right, so let's thank our musicians one more time. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, background singers. Thank you, band. Thank you, Reverend Nancy, and all of you for being here. And let's pray out.
So with the practitioners' circles of room and love, as we express our gratitude to be blessed with this experience today, and know that each and every person leaves here with the idea and understanding that Spirit is in us, through us, and as us, and that each thing that we look at is a reflection of that presence. And know that we have a tendency to know this truth in whatever situation that we step into. So it's with love in our heart, compassion for all our fellow man, that we go forth to experience each other and all those around us. And we acknowledge this as a divine opportunity as we say together, and so it is.
Please stand for the peace song.
Yeah, you know when I was young, did you want to throw this
Thank you.